got more October baseball coming your way tonight. Here's how the postseason pictures look so far. The Mets able to tie their series up with the Dodgers. Shout out to Mark Vientos, by the way, coming in clutch with a grand slam. The Yankees currently lead their respective series 1-0. Postseason continues tonight with the Guardians and the Yankees Game 2 in the Bronx. Of course, the Yankees leaned on great pitching and a couple of homers from their stars to snag Game 1 of the ALCS. 5-2 over Cleveland. Carlos Rondon struck out 9. Juan Soto and Giancarlo Stanton both had homers for the Bronx Bombers. We got first pitch for Game 2 coming tonight, 7:38 Eastern. Let's get you ready for postseason baseball and bring in our World Series champion, Will Middlebrooks, to discuss. What's up, Will? Thanks for being with us. Let's talk about the Yankees first, right? They take the series lead largely in part to Soto and Stanton stepping up there. What do you need to see, though, from Aaron Judge in Game 2?
Well, first things first, the Yankees were really good.
Yeah, really
for a
good.
team that was for a team that was really inconsistent in the second half, you didn't really know what you were going to get in the in the postseason. They look like a World Series contender, and it all started with Carlos Rondon. I mean, he was lights out. 25 swing and misses. That's the most in Yankees postseason since 2008. And on top of that, there were 16 foul ball strikes. So this is against a Guardians team that puts the ball in play better than anyone in baseball, but that fastball slider combination that Rodon had yesterday was just too nasty. But to your original question on Aaron Judge, I think Aaron Judge not having to be the man is maybe what might help this offense do what they're doing. You see right here, Juan Soto in the third inning. You see why they traded for Juan Soto, not just for the 162 game body of work that he gives you and the way he changes the entire lineup. It's what he does in the big moments, that slow heartbeat, and what he does. And then Giancarlo Stanton, my goodness gracious. Everyone thought his career was over with and just done. You see how he runs the bases? He's barely moving around out there. But he's probably been the most productive, most important bat in that lineup in the postseason. And you got to think there might be a little bit of shuffle to the lineup. Maybe putting Judge in the 2-hole, putting Soto and Stanton behind him to get him more protection, get him more pitches to hit as he gets deeper into this postseason. Judge has looked better, not as much swing and miss, but I think he's going to start to contribute more now that other guys are doing well and not as much pressure on his shoulders.
Listen, when you're winning by 3 runs and Aaron Judge is not contributing, I think you would say that's a really good situation to be in. If we talk about the other side of this matchup, though, the Guardians are a team that relies on their bullpen for success. We saw Cleveland was forced to use 4 bullpen arms in that Game 1 loss. With that in mind, Will, is this a bullpen that can still give Cleveland a shot at winning?
Yeah, they can. I think something to pay attention to is the Guardians, yeah, they did use 4 arms out of their bullpen, but they didn't have to touch any of their big 3 high leverage arms, those being Emmanuel Clase, Hunter Gaddis, and Cade Smith. So if there's any silver lining at all to yesterday's game and how they lost it, you never want to lose Game 1 of a series, but if you don't have to use your main guys, so they had a day off before the series started, they had a day off yesterday because they didn't have to pitch. They'll be fresh coming into this one today, so I mean, I'm spinning it in a positive way. You obviously want to use those guys because it means you're winning or you're at least tied. But they're going to be fresh coming into tonight, and you got to think they're probably going to cover half the game tonight.
All right, the pitching matchup for Game 2 is Tanner Bybee against Garrett Cole, who was lights out in Game 4 of the ALDS against Kansas City. How much of a boost does Cole give the Yankees here, Will?
Yeah, this is a really good pitching matchup. I mean, the only difference that I see between Bybee and Cole is the leash, right? There's going to be a shorter leash on Bybee, mainly because those 3 arms in the bullpen that I just talked about, they're fresh. They're off 2 days rest. Bybee also hasn't gone more than 4 2/3 so far this postseason. Regular season, he was working 6, 7 innings pretty consistently, but Stephen Vogt likes to go to that Cleveland bullpen. It's the best bullpen in baseball. So he likes to turn the ball over to them pretty early in the 4th, 5th inning. Now, as far as Garrett Cole goes, really up and down year for him. He missed a good chunk, obviously, with the injury. He really couldn't find consistency in the second half of the season. He'd have a good start and have a bad one. Couple bad ones and a good one. It wasn't like him. But then Game 1 against the Royals, 5 innings, 4 runs. You're thinking, here we go again. He's going to lay a dud in the postseason. He gets the ball Game 5 in an elimination game, and he was locked in. I mean, through 7 innings, he only gave up 1 run and put them in a good position to win. Garrett Cole's a guy you've seen throughout his career stack good starts. He's all about confidence. If he has a bad start and loses the confidence, he kind of lets it snowball and doesn't throw well. So I think he builds off of that last start, and I think you see him roll the rest of this postseason.
Yeah, he's been, like you said, just up and down. Injuries have affected him as well, too. So obviously we'll see what he can do out there on the mound. Let's talk about the other series. Dodgers-Mets now heads to Queens with that one tied at 1 apiece. Francisco Lindor and Mark Vientos stepping up big in Game 2. And look, yes, Will, the Dodgers have a stacked lineup, but you saw the Mets get one back. How dangerous can they be heading back to New York with this momentum?
I'm going to try my best not to go on a rant right here,
okay.
But I think a lot of the baseball world gave up on the Mets after the beatdown the Dodgers gave them in Game 1. Understandable. I get that. It was very lopsided. But there's one thing I think we have learned about this New York Mets team is you can't count them out at any point. Like, they started the season 0-5. Everyone's trying to burn down Citi Field. They were 24-35 at one point. No shot at making the postseason. Another season down the drain. All this payroll. Well, then they rattle off the best record in baseball from June 1st on, 70-42. This team fights and they believe. And I would rather face a stacked superstar team. I would rather face a team like the Dodgers with Shohei and Mookie and all these superstars than face a team that believes, and they're all pulling on the same rope. And it's hard to get a big league clubhouse that way, but they have. Now, looking at the rest of this series, the pitching matchups are actually in New York's favor. I think the fact that they also play 3 games at home in that hostile environment at Citi Field is a massive advantage for the Mets. LA's really struggled with starting pitching for months. Walker Buehler has not been the same since coming back from Tommy John. Yamamoto obviously missed all the time with the rotator cuff injury. He was very good in Game 5 versus San Diego, but can he repeat that? And even if he can, because of his pitch count and the workload they're trying to limit because of the shoulder injury, I don't think he works past the 5th inning. And then there's that bullpen that has been very good for the Dodgers. But how much more do they have in the tank? They've been having to cover a lot of innings for 2+ months now. And one last thing, and then we can move on. But this Mets pitching staff shut down 1 through 5 in the Dodgers lineup. That's Ohtani, Betts, Teoscar Hernandez, Freddie Freeman, and Will Smith. They were 0 for 19 with 9 strikeouts. You continue to do that, you're going to win the series.
All right, I'm going to take your soapbox back now because mic drop there from our Will Middlebrooks helping us get ready for postseason baseball. Will, always so good to have you on the show. Here's a look at the upcoming MLB playoff schedule. You got Game 2 of the ALCS between the Guardians and the Yankees tonight at 7:38 Eastern. And then tomorrow, the NLCS heads to Queens for the Dodgers-Mets. Game 3, 8:08 Eastern.